We are live.
Oh,
We are live. Reed T. Fowler, Emerson Latzia, producer Eamon behind the scenes, TP on the ones and twos, 2/3 of the gorgeous golf gurus. Because
so you're one of them? You're one of the golf gurus?
Yeah, I'm a golf guru. I mean, I'm just kind of I hang out. Don't listen to anything I say. But I will no. You know what? I nailed Justin Rose top 10 the PGA Championship like 2 years ago when you went there, Kiowa, right?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. There you go.
This was like the good old days when it was just you and me and Madden. Remember that?
I do remember that, and
we were the ones that everyone asked for. By the way,
yes, because it's a nice balance. It's a nice balance of somebody unbalanced and a nice balance with someone balanced as well in the unbalanced. Balanced relationship that we have. I do miss that a lot, dude. I really do. Like some days where I'm just like sitting around hanging out. It's like, dude, I could sit here and talk for an hour about anything.
Right. And to that, that's a beautiful segue, or as the regular people call it, segue. What is up with NyQuil chicken, man?
I don't know. I don't know what this is.
Okay, so here's the problem, Emerson. Here's the problem with what's happening in today's generation. You can do anything. You can do anything as long as it goes viral, it's a success. You can literally do anything. Yes, I'm using the word literally correctly, kids. Yeah, I'm that Steve Buscemi gif. I was teasing you about it because you looked like that guy coming into the Zoom. But Jay, like I'm telling these kids, get off my lawn. What are you doing cooking NyQuil? There's no feasible way that people are eating it. None. So this is the same thing as like the pods. Like remember the
Are we not eating those anymore? Does this mean we've moved past that?
Oh, there's a battle royale going on behind you. It was but what is the deal with it? I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to.
This is why, dude. Like when I log on to TikTok like once a week to upload a video from like our show, and I start like scrolling, I'm like, this just ain't it. This ain't it for me. TikTok is just not it for me. There's too many people doing really stupid stuff that pisses me off. And maybe this just shows that I'm starting to get a little older where I'm like, dude, yeah, maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, I'll eat a Tide Pod.
There is nothing.
But now no longer.
Watching it, thinking about it, or even consuming it if you're that stupid to do it, that seems appealing. Like, you know, Eamon was talking, our producer is putting us all this in the Slack channel. The guy's using what? A hair straightener as tongs? There's no feasible way he's doing this, or this person is doing this legitimately. Like, what's the point?
I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't know. If you're into that stuff,
don't.
And you're watching us,
don't be into it.
We're actually going to educate you with something that could help you. That could help you actually make money so you can go out and afford more chicken and NyQuil and Tide Pods. And before Jeff joins us, we'll talk some NFL in a little bit. Before Jeff joins us, we haven't had you on the sweat this week. You've been a busy man. So I want to pick your brain just a little bit about the President's Cup because we have the pairings. It's back after a 3-year hiatus here. The pairings, Thursday's foursome pairings have been announced. Now, betting is one thing. I feel like I want to get the DFS questions out of the way first because it's a little different, right? With the approach and not knowing who is going to play every day. I saw that you wrote up a great article with basically all the information, all the answers to the questions that I'm about to ask you. But like in terms of just DFS, really quick, Reed, can you just help me out with like if I'm building a lineup like right here that's popping up like on our screen, am I still building a lineup here for these guys are going to be in my lineup for all 4 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's the showdown format where you have to pick a captain and then you have 5 flex golfers. So you have to do that.
So there's a chance then you're going to end up rostering someone who may not play on a day.
Well, and that's the strategy that you have to deploy is that you need to figure out who are those guys who are going to play all the days because you have the most potential points available. And the way I approach it is, well, you got Scotty Scheffler, who's the best golfer in the world right now. You know, you want to proverbially step on the throat of the international team. Well, how do you do that? You deploy this guy as much as possible. Now, the American team is so deep So he might not, but even if let's say he plays 75% of the rounds,
Yeah.
he could easily win all of his matches because that's how dominant these guys are. And on top of that, let's all remember what this guy did in the match play, where he ran through all of his opponents very easily. So that's how you got to do it from the DFS standpoint. From the betting standpoint, it's completely different, and you have to approach it a little bit, from a strategy. Sobel, our buddy Jason Sobel, put out this thing in his article that these guys who are the U.S. team who's minus 700 favorites to win is the same as, I think it's 16.5-point favorites in football.
Oh,
that's the correlation.
Okay.
It's basically Alabama versus Vandy. Sorry, Vandy, but it's something like that, right? Where this is how dominant these guys are over the internationals. But still, there are places that if you want to bet the internationals, I wrote up my favorite point scorer for the international team is going to be Tom Kim, because of the way I would approach it if I were Trevor Immelman, the captain. But also too, if you take a look at the sessions, right? It's foursome, 4-ball singles. The international team actually does pretty well in one of those formats. I'll get to it. The 4-ball session. No, they're dead even. I'll get to it, but there's one of them that the national team actually holds more, like beats the U.S. team in. They have a better record than the U.S. team in one of the sessions. So that's how you have to approach it a little bit, is if you want to bet it, then bet it that way, or wait. Let's say after day one, it's a lot closer than all of us thought. The internationals might be, plus 350, but then the US might be minus 350. What I think is really cool, like really smart, is parlay this with a pick on Sunday for football. So let's say you choose the US,
and that's what and sorry to cut you off, but like Sobel was saying something similar, because we were talking about all the unique ways to bet an event that is this unique, and there are question marks with who's going to play and that kind of stuff. And he mentioned a parlay with some Sunday like football games. You want to get weird here? Let's go.
Well, like if you want to choose them right now, right, minus 700. That is silly to lay that much.
Not a whole lot of ton of value on that, but to me, it still says a little bit of free money. Like we talked about before we came on, there's got to be a miracle on ice kind of upset if international team is going to win this thing. Like 8 of the 12 guys on the international team are playing their first President's Cup, and the Americans are so damn good with all those ranked guys.
Right. So look, like let's say I think the Bengals are going to win. I think they're going to win. Could they cover? Sure, they can cover the 5 points against the Jets right now after that win that the Jets weren't supposed to get.
Bengals will look like hot garbage, homie.
But 0-2, backs up against the wall. Their offense is way too good. They're playing way too conservative in the first couple of games. Or even if they weren't, their offensive line was garbage. The Jets don't have a good interior defense. And when you got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, and Joe Burrow, come on. This is going to click at some point. And remember, Joe Burrow didn't play in the offseason. So this could be his preseason that he's getting all the cobwebs out. But if you went, for instance, in this 2-pick parlay, the Bengals to win just money line and USA to win outright, you still have to pay juice of minus 150. But that's how you bring both of those down.
Ooh.
Right? Like if you wanted, let's say you want to go after the Lions upsetting the Vikings money line, that makes this bet plus money. US winning and the Lions winning money line, that parlay pays out plus 254. So that's how you have to attack it, because this is like playing doubles in golf, where you bet Rory at plus 800, and you bet someone in another tour on the DP World Tour or the Champions that's a favorite, and they could potentially win, and then your payout's much higher. This is the other way, where because there's so much juice on US, parlay that with a team on Sunday. If you want to, you don't have to. If you wanted to bet the US right now to win, then that's how I would do it.
All right. So any other betting approaches that you would take here? I'm just trying to look and see what the what the options here. So like you could do like top USA point score, right? You could do top USA like captain's pick, like point score. Looks like there's multiple options here. Are there a few other ones before we transition to football? Are there a few other ones that stand out to you here that you would recommend?
Yep. I really like going after the top rookie scorer.
Okay.
It's their first year. Things could be, variable in how they operate.
It's unknown, man. Like you don't really know. So maybe you get some good value on some of these guys.
Yeah.
Then.
So I like Ju Young Kim to be the top international point scorer. I think he's at plus 700 to be the top or plus 650 now. So it's come down, but to be the top international debutante point scorer, he's plus 330. I like both of those, but in terms of the U.S. team, I think Cameron Young at plus 600, he's the second to last in terms of odds. And I think he's playing. Is he playing in the first?
No, yeah. He will be playing. Here we go. I got him right here. So Cam Young's going to be with Colin Morikawa. That's your dude. And they're taking on Tom Kim and KH Lee.
Right.
That's
so
29.
I like these bets before the pairings came out. This way, it kind of ruins it a little bit at the beginning because they're both playing against each other. But I think Cameron Young sets up perfectly for Quail Hollow, like perfectly. He hits it far, great tee to green, great around the greens. When his putter gets hot, he's tough to beat. Hits it like he's just everything that you want at Quail Hollow. This guy has. I would not be surprised when the Wells Fargo comes up, and if he's playing, that he might not be a guy that a lot of people are choosing come this season when we go to Quail Hollow. So I really like Cameron Young at plus 600. It's so hard. If I went to the top team USA point scorer, I really like JT at plus 650. I think he's going to be in all of these matches. He's with Spieth, and that's just like Spieth and JT. That's just a deadly combination. Spieth is just fantastic. But JT, when you talk about team setting, and when you talk about when he played with Tiger, right, a few years ago, it's just this guy thrives on this kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I really like Thomas to be the top USA point scorer, but for rookies, I think Cameron Young's got a good shot.
Yeah, Thomas too. Like when I'm looking at like his incredible play in team events, Reed, like that record just really stands out. So 10-2 and 3 in non-singles play at Ryder Cups and President's Cups. Like this is a dude who knows what is expected of him out there. And then this is something I know you will appreciate as well. It's like one of those stats departments I think will come that'll be very important for guys this week is that strokes gained approach because of the kind of course that Quail Hollow is, right? It can be difficult. So like that approach shot, great iron players like a Justin Thomas here, like who have had tremendous success like at this course. Like I think that's a fantastic pick by you.
Yeah, I mean, Cantlay's had success in these type of old style courses, right? That's what Quail Hollow is. If you think of Memorial, you think of Congressional, you think of the Charles Schwab, where they play, you think of PJ Nash. You kind of think of those courses. Cantlay has been that guy, and like Cantlay and Schauffele are so good together.
Yeah.
So I think you gotta come up with Adam Scott and Hideki, your two most experienced players on this team, because outside of them, I think Sanjay is the only other player who has 2 years, at least 2 years or 2 events of experience, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's the only one outside of Hideki and Adam Scott who has multiple event experience at the President's Cup. All these other guys, and that actually could work to their favor too, is because they don't have any like scar tissue from getting absolutely dominated by the U.S. team. And that's why I really like Tom Kim, is that he came out in the Wyndham, absolutely made every single putt, says, I don't need my PGA Tour status. I'm just going to win this in my first 12 events that I'm here on the tour. Like I'm going to win a golf tournament. So
yeah,
that's what you need to beat the U.S. team, is you need these guys who don't care, who don't have the bad scar tissue, who are young, have the hubris of being young. And that's someone like Tom Kim.
Those are some tried and true duos there, man, with Cantlay and Xander and Thomas and Spieth.
Geez, Finau and Homa is probably one that you're going to see for a long time coming.
Dude, did you see Finau like shooting a 60 on that? Like
could have been a 55.
What was that? Like Jeff mentioned it the other day on the show, and I'm like, I gotta find this. And then I found the video like online that someone tweeted out. Maybe it was even him. The course was 8,200 yards. Was this out in Utah? Because some of those courses are unbelievable. There was one hole I played when I was out there. It was like the longest hole like in the world for like a day. It was like 700 something yards. It was incredible.
Yeah,
But I was just like,
he missed so many putts though and shot 60. So I think he could have been a 55 where he missed a handful of birdie putts inside 10 feet.
we need to play golf soon.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Well,
together.
it's gonna get a little chilly up here.
Yeah, but fall golf is elite. I'll take
It
fall
is.
golf over summer golf because then I can wear like a light kind of windbreaker, long sleeve windbreaker kind of thing with shorts, so I still maintain like my coolness and just hit piss missiles, dude. While I look at the burnt, fiery Phoenix orange of the leaves, those leaves suffocating and dying, which is why they're falling off, and we all find it to be so beautiful. Okay, so anyhow, yeah, you got a bunch more information like on your Twitter timeline or on DK Nation right now. If you guys and gals want to check out more bets and DFS, if you need more help with that ahead of the President's Cup, which tees off tomorrow afternoon. Let's go to football, dude. Let's go to football. Oh, all right. So again, I haven't talked to you all week. Before we go to week 3, what was your favorite storyline from week 2? Because it was absolutely wild with comebacks. You had a few upsets. You had some high scoring affairs and a shutout victory by America's team. What was it? Oh God. I think I know what it is. Go ahead.
Well, it sure as hell wasn't the Raiders losing Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals are potentially the worst team in the NFL. That's right. I said it, Cardinals fans. I'm not ashamed of it. You guys know what you have on that team. It looks like they didn't even want to win. But guess what? Here come the Raiders. If you don't want to win, too bad. We're going to force you to win. We're gonna get 34 yards on 13 plays in the fourth quarter. Or maybe in the second half. I don't know which one it was. It might have been the second half. All they had was 34 freaking yards. Anyway, that was not my favorite part of Sunday.
I was at a really long ass dinner on Sunday night. It started at like 5:30. It went past 2.5 hours. I got out and checked my phone, and I felt really bad for you because you seemed very upset in our group chat with Jeff. And I said, "What the hell happened?" And
Twitter and the other part. Then Trey Lance. Trey Lance goes down.
Yeah. So
that's just. I mean, Jeff and I have a lot of a lot of features on Trey Lance and the 49ers, and the fact that he on basically the 10th play of the first and the second game, and he has yet to play a quarter. Emerson, he has yet to play a quarter not in rain in his NFL career. I get that he did last season, but that doesn't count in my opinion. It wasn't his team. It's just sad. It's sad to see someone like that because he had so much potential. And, especially for fantasy and for betting purposes, if you had Trey Lance futures, I have him on a bunch of best ball teams where you can't make any changes. I also have Justin Fields on those teams. So yeah, it's on underdog, you start to feel a little like, hey, what's going on here? You can't make any changes. There's been a lot of key injuries in the NFL. Justin Herbert, it looks like he's back at practice, but that's massive. Dak Prescott got hurt last week. Trey Lance gets hurt last week, or Dak Prescott the week previous. It's, welcome to the NFL because that's what it is. It is a game of attrition. Whoever has most other people still standing is usually going to win the Super Bowl. And that's what the Rams did. The Rams kept healthy for relatively, right?
Okay. Yeah. So Jeff Ulrich has finally decided to join us and complete the Golf Gurus trio. We're already done with discussing the President's Cup. If anybody wants to hear Jeff talk about it, go back and watch the sweat from the last 3 days or go to the DraftKings YouTube channel. I'm sure he's blabbing on there. Reed is out. We were just discussing as we were transitioning to football here, Jeffrey, kind of what put a smile on his face, what storyline he really enjoyed in week 2.
Oh, Jacksonville winning put a smile on my face.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. No other team in the AFC South, Jeff, has a win besides Jacksonville, dude. Absolute beasts on top of that mountain.
Yeah, I mean that was like probably one of the highlights for me too. For not because obviously like I like to see Jacksonville. I was high on Doug Peterson. I thought that was a very good hire by them.
Oh yeah.
And I just like Doug Peterson. Like, I mean, he's the guy who brought in Nick Foles. So,
Yep.
But I think he's a smart coach. I think he's one of the better game managers in the NFL, which just brings a lot of win equity every week to an NFL team. And I was really glad to see them get off the mat because it wasn't really that good a week one for Trevor Lawrence, if we're being honest.
No,
and also on the double edge of that, I thought Indy was probably the most overrated team going into the preseason. So seeing them fall on their faces here is like, it's great on both sides of it. Yeah. So, and then I'm just trying to think like, otherwise, I don't know, like there wasn't a ton of games where I was like, oh, this is crazy or this is bad. Obviously the Trey Lance news was pretty devastating and it really stinks. The other team that, I think again, like, and I said this at the top of the week, getting confirmation bias on our Eagles bets read here. This is nice to see. I love Jalen Hurts, man. Like I've been a big Jalen Hurts believer since he came in the league. People said, he can't play quarterback. From day one, I've said he looks extremely competent. The Eagles fans tried to drive him out. They didn't work. I really hope that works out.
Yeah.
I hope
Do you see a lot of similarities to Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I do. And it's weird. I think Hurts actually does some things better than Wilson. He also doesn't have as live an arm as Wilson, which hurts him a little bit. I think that's the biggest weakness of his game. There's just some throws he can't make, like a Wilson or a Mahomes can make. He's limited in that aspect. But like in terms of how he moves around, he's a really smart runner. Russell Wilson was an extremely smart runner early in his career. Yeah. And Jalen Hurts is a better rusher than Russell Wilson probably ever was, but like he's got that same instinct where he just knows when to take, he just knows when the defense is giving him something and he just takes it. And it's so hard to defend.
And I agree with you, Jeff. I think one reason the Eagles offense it has been so good and why they may arguably be the best team in the NFC right now is because it's impossible to predict where the hell that ball is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
The addition of AJ Brown, another player who, again, like really just got to like, has been producing with like Ryan Tannehill in a run first offense. It just gives Hurts that outside presence where it's the exact kind of receiver you need for Hurts because he's not going to make those insane, like pinpoint throws downfield to the same extent that like Wilson in his prime did or Mahomes can, but he can get out the side of the pocket and he can put it up in good spots for AJ Brown and AJ Brown will go up and get it for him.
Yeah.
It's really just a really smart signing by the Eagles. I love that move so much when they did it.
It's the perfect setup for him too, because in Tennessee, he didn't really have a number two. Right. And a lot of it was on him. And then he got injured quite a bit. And now you have Goddard, Smith. You also have Sanders. And they really like those Kenneth Gainwell. They really like their piece on offense. Brown doesn't have to be that guy anymore.
No, look what they did last week. They just threw the ball to Smith. I figured that might happen. And another thing is like the Eagles can, like you mentioned, Reed, they can run the ball, man. Like they will just absolutely run it down your throat if they need to.
Yeah.
They've got competent backups. Like Boston Scott is kind of underrated. Miles Sanders. Maybe Miles Sanders isn't like Christian McCaffrey, and he's not going to be the every down back. But that's fantasy. This is like real life. Like you've got a really tough rotation of three running backs. They're going to be thrown out of teams. It's tough to stop, man.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's a really good. You look at the NFC East. They have a pretty good. I think the worst division in the NFL, it has to be the AFC North. Right? Like,
I
don't know what these guys are doing. Like, the
AFC South is pretty bad.
I did want to jump in.
I'm talking about like AFC South. Yes, we all know the AFC South has been bad for a while. Like the AFC North.
I agree. Like it's close. The Ravens. I was trying to. The Ravens.
Their defense is bad. That's why Blake Martinez is visiting the Ravens organization today. Is that defense is bad and speed absolutely dismantles the Ravens defense. And that's what you saw with Tyreek Hill. And that's what you saw with Jalen Waddle.
The people were projecting the Ravens secondary. The Ravens secondary was projected as the best in the league. I know there's been injuries. Like Kyle Fuller, absolutely was a good signing. There's a reason they brought him in because they needed more, quite frankly, just athleticism. But they started the year with like, I mentioned this in preseason too. Like their secondary is old. Like Marcus Peters on the outside. That's not something you can hang your hat on anymore. Like I don't see anything good for the Ravens happening. I'm not shocked that that happened. And I think going forward, this team it's good for Lamar's fantasy. That's one thing. If you have Lamar in fantasy, man, like he's going to put up numbers. Here's a bigger question. Is this the last year Lamar's on the Ravens?
Well,
maybe.
He doesn't have a contract.
I know.
This year.
Maybe.
Unless they could franchise tag him, right?
Sure, but does he want to be there after this year? If this happens again, if the Ravens defense falls apart, they can't win games. He's got to do everything. Does he re-sign there? That's like I think there's legitimate questions that like maybe not. So
yeah, and the Bengals, look, they're still plus 350 to win this division. I think it was shorter than that. I mean, obviously it had to have been.
That's the bet I would take. I think Bengals
plus 350 and the Ravens at minus 110 after you saw what happened with the you cannot feel good about what happened with the Dolphins.
What are the Browns at in that division?
Plus 350.
Interesting. I'm definitely like, I mean, I'm all about fading the Ravens. So the Bengals, and I'm almost more interested in the Browns, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
it's
to win the division.
Like we're a couple weeks into the year. This division is setting up as trash. I think that the Browns probably going to grab a win here and go to 2-1. If they're holding water and the division is like the same kind of situation when they get Watson back.
When does he come back? Week 13?
Yeah, I think so. It's with 5 games left.
I think it's December.
Yeah.
No, he has 11 games. It was 11 games.
11 games. Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, it's not even.
Well, it was crazy to think is that the Browns should be 2-0 right now. Like
that's the other thing.
Whatever the hell that was last week, under 2 minutes to go and up 2 touchdowns.
I mean, I like Cleveland going to Cleveland, but that is the other thing. Like they haven't looked terrible. Like
I agree.
Yeah.
So and Nick Chubb's been the driving force of that offense.
Yeah. And we all said, like, if Cleveland was going to be good, like Chubb was going to be extremely, extremely have a good year. And he's looked every bit of it, man. So I'll the Bengals are, I think, overall the best team, but like their O-line has to get it together. Oh. Joe Burrow is not going to make it through the season at this rate.
No.
So there's like their defense has been fine, I guess. But
like I don't even want to call it necessarily a Super Bowl hangover. I think it's the fact of what you just said. Joe Burrow has been sacked 13 times in just 2 effing games.
And they paid a lot of money.
Yes, they did, Reed. And their offensive line coach, I saw a clip from him today on Twitter. He's like, hey, we're trending in the right direction. And I'm like, oh my God, bro, get out of here. Grow up, fraud.
Look, going back, I think we all talked about Nick Chubb being the leading rusher, at least I did. He's second right now to Saquon Barkley at 228 yards over 2 games. Like, if that continues, he's going to be an absolute beast, man. He's like, what else? What other? Donovan Peoples-Jones, DPJ is going to be your guy to hold over this offense? No way. It's going to be Nick Chubb.
Hey,
and it's
don't besmirch Donovan Peoples-Jones. I've got some good overs.
Right, the law firm
for Thursday night. That's my big call. That DPJ is going big here. We're going to go like 5-6 receptions, 80 plus yards.
I mean, Jacoby Brissett and Mitchell Trubisky, I mean, just talking about tomorrow night, they have nearly identical passing lines through 2 games.
Well, the Trubisky experiment is not working.
Look, you guys know I'm a known Trubisky lover. I think this is probably the end of the road for Mitch.
If they lose tomorrow night, you think it is?
I think he might get replaced in game. Honestly, Pickett is the backup. Like there's only so much longer you can look at this offense. Their offense, if you look at pretty much every different metric, pace, what they're doing, like they're playing at a fast pace, but they're gaining so little per play that it's like they're still a slow team. Like it's so ugly what they're doing. And like they got this Pickens guy that does he even have a catch? I don't know. Like it's just not been good. Deontay Johnson is like the savior of that team. Him and Freiermuth, if they didn't have those two, like this team would be even worse probably. But I think that Mitch, I don't know. The Browns did allow a lot of yards to the Jets, so maybe the Browns,
I mean, neither team can stop the pass.
Yeah.
Neither one can stop the pass.
I forget who it was who brought then their rookie quarterback against the Browns. Oh no, it was Justin Fields last year. Remember that? The Chicago Bears started Justin Fields against the Browns, and Fields almost died on the field because they just went off on him. So maybe this, like, I think Trubisky ends the game, or at least is starting, and then if it's way out, then and Garrett and those guys are out, then they bring in Pickett. But if I were the Steelers, I would 100% wait. You ain't winning anything this year, right?
Yeah.
This is not this year. I would definitely wait because you get the Jets in week 4.
Right.
Start
and
get the Jets in week 4, and then you get the
Yeah.
Bills Bucks after that. Oh my God.
That's actually good. No, it's a good call too, because you have a longer week if you're the Steelers too, right?
Yep.
To start them in week 4.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
No,
I'll
Trubisky
just
may step
wait.
it up tomorrow night. He's a Cleveland native. That's where they're playing. So he may feel Kenny Pickett breathing down his neck there, dude.
Or Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
Who's got a worse quarterback room right now? Is it the Seahawks or the Steelers? I don't know.
I mean, Geno Smith is a future Hall of Famer, so I'm going to go ahead and side with the Steelers.
Yeah,
Worse for him.
It's got to be worse then, because Geno looked serviceable in both games. I mean, well, this last game, Jeff, I haven't been on the sweat. Were you able to put Pierce back in his proverbial place?
With what?
With, like, the Seattle Seahawks are absolute garbage.
We actually haven't. I don't think we've really talked about them at all this week, have we yet, Jeff?
Well, here. Oh my God. See, this game. Here's the problem, and I can't really talk bad about them this week because I just rewatched the Atlanta game yesterday, and like, what are the Falcons doing? Like, they're running the ball.
Please get Kyle Pitts involved for crying out loud. Coach was like, this isn't fantasy.
Yeah.
No, dude. He's like, we're trying to win games. This isn't fantasy. Dude, it's your best player, 4th overall last year. And he's on my effing fantasy football team.
What is that line at? What is that line at now? Did it move today?
I don't know.
4.
Burn that franchise down. What a
It's
joke.
still a 2. Yeah, like unfortunately, I got to be on the Seahawks here. Atlanta, they're not going to be able. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. They're trying to. They want to run the ball, but like they can't really. They're not really that good at it. And then their defense was just getting torched. Geno's probably going to carve them up again with like Lockett or something.
Hell yeah, dude.
So yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good bet is the Seahawks at getting at more than a field goal or less than a field goal. Yeah, Atlanta. The only reason Atlanta kept that game scrappy is just like the Rams were up like 28-0 or something like that. And then it just special teams play. The Rams got complacent and all of a sudden it was a 1-score game, but like they weren't doing anything good.
Yeah.
They weren't like.
Did you hear what Arthur Smith said when they were asked how you're not getting Pitts involved? He said, and I'm gonna butcher this. Well, he said that, but no, he said something different. He said about why Pitts potentially isn't getting. He's like, we're trying to win games. Pitts might go out and he might come out for, we might want to feature Kadarrell Hodge.
Oh my God, guy.
Yeah.
It's like you spent a 4th overall pick, and the Falcons spent a 4th overall pick. And Smith is out here, Arthur Smith. And this is why I never believe coach speak. I'm always for the players. Get your money. I don't care, because the coaches, they're like, their egos are absolutely insanely high for no apparent reason. You're trying to feature Kadarrell Hodge over Kyle Pitts. Look at what Justin Jefferson is doing with Kevin O'Connell. I know he had a bad game on Monday night, and that was just a really good Philadelphia scheme. But over week 1, he saw a lot of his routes against linebackers and safeties.
He was so effing wide
3
open.
or 4x more than he did in his previous season. And you're saying, Arthur Smith, that you're trying to get Kadarrell Hodge featured over Kyle Pitts. And when you see that, that is really scary.
And I'll name another guy that they went out and got this offseason. Everyone was all hot and bothered over Bryan Edwards. He saw 1 target. Like they didn't take a deep shot with Bryan Edwards, who's like, a mismatch on the outside. They're doing exactly what Reed just said. Like they're doing like Kadarrell Hodge. They're doing they're getting 4 running backs involved. They're getting handoffs.
Drake London.
They're giving straight off handoffs. Yeah, London is definitely getting the eye of Mariota, but
But Mariota's a one-read quarterback. If he doesn't see his first guy, then he's just like, all right, I'm out of here.
I got to be honest. I get the argument for Pitts. He's an absolute mismatch. And there was one play where he was streaking downfield and the defensive back had to take a penalty. And it was almost big time, we're 7-yard touchdown. But outside of that, like I had huge worries that this was just Mariota just wasn't going to be able to do it. And then you add in the fact that Atlanta, regardless of game plan, wants to run the ball like 50% of the plays. I'm sorry, this isn't going to get better. Like it's not.
Yeah.
The
Just
last
put
thing
the
I'll
kid.
say-
Just put the kid in from Cincinnati.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is that's eventually going to happen. But
Yeah.
when Tennessee, when Mariota was on the Titans, it was all the tight end. That's all he looked at. I forget it. Delaney Walker. That's all he
That's
looked
true.
at. Is Delaney Walker.
Yeah,
I
Delaney
bet though
Walker
Pitts-
was a freaking Pro Bowler with Mariota.
Yeah, I bet you Pitts gets 12 targets this week. Yeah,
Well, and Mariota returning to the
I don't
Pacific
know,
Northwest. I mean,
He's got it.
we'll see.
Smith is these
I
guys.
mean, I hope you're right and I'm
These
wrong,
coaches
but
are
I
too
don't foresee that happening with the Atlanta game plan that I just saw. But
but why not, right? If
oh,
they're
I mean, I
down,
agree.
why
I mean,
not?
that's what I would be doing after
Yeah.
at this point. You're 0-2.
Yeah.
You're not fooling anybody about the talent on your team. Like, let's throw it to Kyle Pitts 15 times. I'd be doing that every game. I mean,
I agree.
All right,
anyways.
we gotta go. We gotta wrap because we got another Madden Sim coming up here at 6:00, which is in like 1 minute. So Kansas City and the Giants will be coming up here. Jeff, thanks for hanging out with us. Reed, same to you. Eamon, same to you. TP, same to you. And you watching, same to you. We'll see everyone back on the Sweat tomorrow morning, 11:00 Eastern time. We're in studio. We'll see you then.
And Emerson, same to you.
Same to you.
Same to
Same
you.
to you. Same to you.